Welcome to the Cozy Little Library today with your Clean Reads Book Buddy, and welcome to all the books that I read in 2025. This does not include the DNFs, but you're going to help me choose the top 5 books of 2025 out of all of these. My only rule is that rereads cannot be the winner. Let's have fun and let's go. In January, we had 14 books, starting with The Lost Memoirs of Jane Austen by Syrie James. Clean historical in the voice of Jane Austen herself. Loved this book, loved the audiobook even more. 5 stars. Clean historical To Charm a Lady by Joanna Barker. This is book number 2 in the Cartwells, and I gave this one 4 stars. Second Impressions, which is a contemporary by Pepper Basham. It is very, very short. I'd never heard about it before, but I really enjoyed it, about a girl who goes to Bath, England on a Jane Austen festival trip. Really, really enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 stars. The Headmistress of Rosemere by Sarah E. Ladd. Very atmospheric, wintry story. What you see on the cover happens in the book. Christian historical fiction. Regency, England. I gave this one 4 stars. The next one was The Short Straw Bride by Karen Whittemire. Book number 1 in the Archer Brothers series. It was fine. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. The Iliad by Homer. Not something that I really enjoy reading about, but I think it's important for everyone to read these 2 books. 3 stars for its merit. Then I read all 6 of the Kirsten American Girl series. 6 books in the series. Book number 3 got 5 stars. It's called Kirsten's Surprise, A Christmas Story. I really loved that one. It was super, super sweet. The Maid of Ballymacool by Jennifer Deibel. This happens in Ireland in the 1920s, I believe. Really enjoyed this. Christian historical fiction, 4 stars. Manor for Sale, Baehr included, by Esther Hatch. Thoroughly enjoyed this one. I felt it was so funny. Loved the humor. Made me laugh out loud, and I gave this one 5 stars. Okay, I'm going to narrow this down to just a couple. So right now for January, I'm going to pick The Lost Memoirs of Jane Austen and Manor for Sale. I'll set these over to the side. And now on to February, where we had 14 books. Book number 1 in February was Vying for the Viscount by Christy Ann Hunter. I found this book very funny. I love Christy Ann Hunter's Christian historical humor. This one had a lot to do with horses, and it was first in the series Hearts on the Heath. I actually, in February, went on to read books number 2 and number 3. Gave this one 4 stars, but book number 2 was called Winning the Gentleman. Gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Then book number 3 in this series was Enchanting the Heiress, and I gave it 3 stars as well. The Kaya series, American Girl Kaya. And while I learned a lot about this culture at this time, that part was great. There was one book that had a lot to do with this horse. It was my favorite. I really just did not like the way our main character put other people in danger. She was very selfish, and how her transformation really didn't seem to go anywhere. So yeah, The Steadfast Heart by Arlene Hawks. This is in the Forever After series, and this is book number 3. It was cute. It was good. I gave it 3 stars. The Lightkeeper's Daughter by Colleen Hobel. Book number 1 in the Mercy Falls series. It was interesting. It was fun. I gave it 3 stars. Book number 3 in the On Devonshire Shores series by Julie Klassen, The Seaside Homecoming. This was so good. I gave it 5 stars. Loved hearing what was going on with the sister that was kind of kept a secret. Then I read The Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald, just to see what C.S. Lewis got his influence from. An old children's fantasy book, middle grade. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. And finally, I am proud to say that I did finish the Divine Comedy, all 3 parts, which consist of Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. I gave this 4 stars. So narrowing down our February books to the best, while I think everyone should read this, but really when it comes down to it, The Seaside Homecoming is one that I have thought about often. It was cozy. I loved it. So the choice for February as the favorite. In March, I read 18 books, starting with American Girl Josefina. I enjoyed all 6 of her books. She was a precious character. I just related with Josefina so much. I especially loved book number 1 and gave it 5 stars. Next up, I read Christie Ann Hunter's A Defense of Honor. This is book number 1 in the Haven Manor series. I did enjoy this. I gave it 4 stars. Christian historical Regency. The main character is taking care of some people, and it's a really unusual topic for Regency. Very, very interesting. After that, I went ahead. I had realized that there was, in the Haven Manor series, there was a prequel, which is called A Search for Refuge, and the only way to get it was in this little bind up of some of Christie Ann Hunter's short stories. So I read it and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Ashton Newbold's The Earl Next Door. Super cute. It's clean historical fiction. Book number 1 in the Noble Charades series, and I really liked it. It was about 2 sisters going to Bath, and they wanted to get this apartment, and then this Earl comes in and he's real annoying, and yeah, it had Sense and Sensibility vibes. Really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. Women of the Revolution by Samantha Wilcoxon. Certain very specific women of that era gave us a little bit more information than maybe we hear, out there in mainstream. I learned a lot. Nonfiction, gave it 4 stars. The Epic of Gilgamesh, which is an epic poem back from the time of, the Old Testament as well, but in Mesopotamia, found on tablets. I gave it 3 stars for its merit. Then I finally read Jane Austen's youthful writings, sometimes called the Juvenilia. This has love and friendship and a lot of her other writings in it. Very silly, very funny. Some of the first things that she wrote, and this is a Penguin classic with a bind up of all of those together. Very interesting to read, and I'm glad that I did. I gave it 3 stars. Canterbury Tales, a classic that I had always heard of by Geoffrey Chaucer. Very interesting. Of course, it's about a journey, different people a night, and different ones going on a journey to Canterbury. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read a nonfiction by Max Lucado called What Happens Next. It's all about heaven, the different stages, and lots and lots and lots of specifics. I highlighted and I wrote, and I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars, and it was such a comfort to read. Then I read The Lace Maker by Laura France. This is Revolutionary Era Williamsburg. Very, very interesting. Quite the chunky monkey though, but I found it intriguing and interesting. Gave it 4 stars. It is a Christian historical fiction. And then I read A Thief in the Theater, a Kit mystery, American Girl. So cute, so fun. Of course, Kit is from the Depression era.
For your heart, like so. For the sacred treehouse pledge.
She's helping out her friend, and they go to this theater. There's a lot of mystery there. The actors are doing a Shakespearean play. Gave it 4 stars. A Guidepost, book number 1, Mysteries of Cobble Hill Farm. It's called Digging Up Secrets by Elizabeth Penny. It's a contemporary about a girl who gets her grandfather's veterinary clinic, and it's in England. And so very, very interesting. Gave it 4 stars. And then Persuasion by Jane Austen, of course. And I gave this one 4 stars. So from this stack, 5 stars were Josefina's book, and that was it. So I think Josefina is the winner of March. In April, I read 7 books, the first one being The Girl in the Gatehouse by Julie Klassen. Absolutely loved this book. Had a really great mystery, and I did not figure it out by the end, and I love that. I gave this 5 stars. Aesop's Fables, I had heard 1 or 2 here and there stories, and I wanted to get this copy and have all of them bound up together. I gave it 3 stars for its merit. The memoirs and letters of Dolly Madison, of course, wife of James Madison, President of the United States. It was interesting. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read book number 2 in the Mandy series, which was Mandy and the Cherokee Legend. It was fine. It was okay. 3 stars. Then I read Lady Jane Disappears. I really like this book. Lots of mystery by Joanna Davidson Politano. I really like her writing. I love the mystery that she does and keeps me turning the pages. I gave it 4 stars. Then I finally read Bullfinch's Mythology. This has not only all of the thorough legend of King Arthur, it also really explains every single one of the Greek mythology icons that we hear about. It really gave the big picture so that you can understand it, and it also gave a thorough history of Charlemagne. I gave this 4 stars. Really enjoyed that. Plato's Apology, something else that I had always wanted to read, and I gave that 3 stars. Out of everything, the only 5 stars in April's stack is The Girl in the Gatehouse, so it is the winner for April. In May, I only read 4 books, starting with Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, author unknown, about the Green Knight coming in on a green horse to King Arthur's court during a New Year's festival. I did enjoy it. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Drake Hall, which is the Secrets of Ormdale series, book number 2 by Christina Baehr. This is Christian fantasy, Victorian fantasy. Very unique. Really liked this book. Gave it 4 stars. Then in the Mandy collection, I read book number 3, which was called Mandy and the Ghost Bandits. It was pretty good. It was okay. I got a little bit annoyed at some of the characters, some of Mandy's friends especially, but I gave it 3 stars. And I read a reread of The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. Kind of a mix-up between Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur and The Sword and the Stone. This is kind of in the center. So of these, King Arthur is the only one that got 5 stars. So, I think I gave Drake Hall 5 stars as well. Which one would win out of that? King Arthur is pretty standard around here. I'll have to think about that. I'll put both of these in the stack. In June, I only read 5 books, starting with The Stolen Kingdom by Bethany Atazadeh, book number 1 in the Stolen Kingdom series. This is a clean fantasy book. It was interesting, it was gentle, and I did enjoy it, and I gave it 3 stars. The Legacy of Longdale by Carrie Taransky, dual timeline. I really loved it. Part of the historical part was in the Lake District of England, and I really liked it, and the other story was contemporary. I gave it 4 stars. Then I discovered Megan Soya in her book number 1 of the Harbor of Spies series, Christian fiction, and it starts right before the Boston Tea Party starts, and some of the characters are involved in that action. This book is amazing. 5 stars. And then I read and wanted to own for always Poor Richard's Almanac by Benjamin Franklin. All of his antidotes and wise words written in one book. Then we have Castle of the Winds, which is The Secrets of Ormdale, book number 3 by Christina Baehr. Loved this book. It had Arthurian vibes in it. I absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 stars. And then book number 4 in the Mandy series. This This one was called Mandy and the Forbidden Attic. I really did like that one, and I gave it 3 stars. So in June, Castle of the Winds had 5 stars, and Spark of the Revolution had 5 stars. I'm going to put both of these on the stack to kind of whittle down in a minute. For now, I have no idea because I loved both of these books. In July, I read 11 books, starting with William Shakespeare. I wanted to read Hamlet, really enjoyed that, gave it 4 stars, and The Tempest, I gave it 3 stars. Then I found a devotional at an antique store, Charles Dickens devotional. So I started this and finished it in July. Highly recommend this, 4 stars. Then I read The Heiress of Winterwood by Sarah E. Ladd, and this was Whispers on the Moors, book number 1. Very good, enjoyed it, 4 stars. Then I read A Return of Devotion, Christina Hunter again. This is book number 2 in the Haven Manor series. Gave it 3 stars. It was okay. Then I read Hearts Away, which was book number 2 in the Love Overboard series. Controversial opinion. I started out really liking it, but you can see about when I dropped off. I did finish it, but I did not like the characters in this book. I gave it 2 stars. Then I read Sally Britton's The Rumpled Gentleman, a fairy tale retelling. Gave it 3 stars. Then I read book number 2 in the Megan Soya's Harbor of Spies series. This is Secrets of the Revolution. Love, love, love this book. Gave it 5 stars. Sally Britton's Copper for the Countess, which is book number 2 in a Western Victorian book. Hearts of Arizona is the name of the series. Gave it 3 stars. And then I read Megan Walker's Highcliffe House, clean historical fiction. It happens, I believe, in Brighton, England. It was very, very good. Northanger Abbey, and I gave it 5 stars. I love Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey. So of these, as far as 5 stars, we have Northanger Abbey and Secrets of the Revolution. I'm going to put both of these in the final stack and decide later. In August, I read 14 books, starting with The Lady and the Loyalist by Stephanie McCrae. This is Christian historical fiction, Revolutionary era. It's really good. It's quite thick. Starts out on a ship from England, and the rest of it is in Williamsburg. As things are happening up in Boston, you see how Virginia is affected at first. Gave this 4 stars. Beyond All Dreams by Elizabeth Camden. Another controversial opinion. I did not enjoy this book. Very talented author, and because she is so good at what she does, the bad things that happened to people in this book, they affected me so much, and I did not like the male character. I liked him less at the end than I did at the beginning, so I only gave that book 2 stars. Then I read the first book in Hank the Cowdog series called The Original Adventures of Hank the Cowdog. So amazing. The audiobook is very, very wonderful. The next book was The Mysteries of Pendowar Hall, book number 1 in the Audacious Sisterhood of Smoke and Fire. More modern feeling Jane Eyre to me. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. A Pursuit of Home by Christina Hunter. This was Haven Manor series, book number 3. Enjoyed it. It was 4 stars. Connected to that, I found out about The Christmas Heirloom, and it's kind of a companion book, if you will, but it's by 4 authors: Christina Hunter, Karen Whittemire, Sarah Loudon Thomas, and Becky Wade. As a whole, I gave it 4 stars. Then I discovered Sarah M. Eden. I read Seeking Persephone. This book was phenomenal. It is clean historical. I gave it 5 stars. Books 4 and 5 in the Tearoom Mysteries series. Book number 4 is by Elizabeth Adams, called Crosswords and Chamomile. I gave it 4 stars. Book number 5 is called Burning Secrets. I gave it 4 stars. These are so good. Christian contemporary gentle mysteries. Love it. The Shadows of Swanford Abbey by Julie Klassen. Christian historical fiction, Regency era. It was fine. It's supposed to be an Agatha Christie meets Jane Austen. I'm not real big on murder mysteries, but for what it was pretty gentle, and I did enjoy it. This is a bind up. of books 1 through 4 of the Annie Henry series, Adventures in the American Revolution. This is about Patrick Henry's daughter, historical fiction. It's a middle grade. So good. You can learn so much about the Revolutionary era in this middle grade book. It's wonderful. 5 stars. Secrets of Mary's Bookshop number 3 by Charlotte Carter, called Reading the Clues. Very fun, gentle mystery by Guideposts. 4 stars. The Fairy Queen by Edmund Spenser. This is a medieval story. He wrote this for the Queen. It was quite a feat to get through this book, but it has just beautiful poetry, beautiful verse. Started out with lots of notes, and then I just had to use the audiobook because it was extremely long. Took me a couple months to finish it. 3 stars. Sally Britton's Miss Devon's Choice is one of her older, clean, historical fiction books. It was fine. It was a little slow. 3 stars. For the month, we had 2 5 stars, which was Annie Henry and Seeking Persephone. This is going to be a really hard choice, but I'm going to put these both in the best stack and deal with it at the end. In September, I only read 5 books, starting with Sarah E. Ladd's The Curiosity Keeper. This is book number 1 in the Treasures of Syrie series. This really had Charles Dickens London vibes. Really enjoyed it. 4 stars, Christian historical. Another Christian historical. 4 different authors, 4 different stories. The Librarian's Journey. It was about 4 women set out on horseback to bring the library to remote communities during the Great Depression. So you've got the 4 different stories, starting with Love's Turning Page by Cynthia Hickey. A couple of these I adored. The other 2 were okay. One of them made me laugh so hard, so I gave it 4 stars overall. Really enjoyed that. Another Christian fiction, More Than Words Can Say by Karen Whittemire. This is actually book number 2 in the Patchwork Family series, but funny enough, a long time ago, I tried to read book number 1 in this series, and it was so depressing and sad, so I did not finish it. However, you do not have to read it in order to enjoy this one. It can definitely stand alone. I found this book very hilarious. 5 stars. Then I picked up Poet Pilgrim Rebel, the story of Anne Bradstreet, America's first published poet, by Kate Monday Williams, and the illustrator is Tanya RECS, and that's what I love most about this book. I found these illustrations just delightful. This book just really made me giddy. I loved it. So a great collector's item. I gave this 4 stars. The Secrets of Ormdale, book number 4. It was not my favorite in the series. I gave it 3 stars. So for September, More Than Words Can Say was our only 5 star and definitely the winner of the month. In October, I read 16 books and I got a lot of 5 stars. The first book that I read was Love's a Mystery in Sleepy Hollow, New York. There are 2 books in one. There's a contemporary story and then the historical story. They're both Christian. The historical one was written by Gabrielle Myer, and they're both fantastic, but I especially love the historical one. I gave the book 4 stars overall. Christmas in the Castle Library by Anne Swindell, in a European Royal Library. There's a mystery going on and I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. Winter Set by Tiffany Odekirk. This was an advanced reader copy and it's Regency era, but it has a lot of fall vibes. There's a lot of mystery. There's a woman hiding out in an old abandoned manor. 3 stars. Another controversial opinion, I read North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, and while her writing is absolutely beautiful, it was my first Gaskell, I only gave this book 3 stars. I know. So many people love this book. I love the writing, but I was not in love with the story nor the couple. I'm sorry, friends. Next, I read A Seaview Christmas by Julie Klassen. This was the last book in her On Devonshire Shores series. 5 stars. The Maid of Fairborn Hall by Julie Klassen. Absolutely obsessed with this book. It's about a woman having to go undercover as a maid. The story has so many characters below stairs and so many characters above stairs. stars. There's a mystery. 5 stars. Christian historical. Tilly's Moonlight Garden. It was pretty cute. I was a little disappointed. I expected a little bit more, but it was a clean middle grade. 3 stars. A Proper Governess by Casey Stockton. This is book number 2 in the Hearts of Harewood series. I gave it 4 stars. Book number 2 in the Lancaster series, After Seeking Persephone by Sarah M. Eden. Courting Miss Lancaster. It was good. 4 stars. Clean historical Regency era. The Jewels of Halstead Manor by Casey Stockton. This is book number 1 in the Ladies of Devon series. Yes, I have 2 of her series going on at once. This book was so intriguing. Major page turner. I really wanted to know what was going to happen. Started off right away with something exciting, and I had to know. 4 stars. This was clean historical. Lady Margaret's Ghost, a Felicity mystery. This is American Girl Felicity. 4 stars. Sarah E. Ladd's Dawn at Emberwild, which is book number 2 in the Treasures of Syrie series. Absolutely love this because most of the story happens in the forest. It's perfect for fall because it has a lot of mystery, a lot of things going on in the forest, lots of adventure. Really liked it. 5 stars. Then I read The Duke's Diary by Ashton Newbold, which is book number 2 in the Noble Charades series. Obsessed with this book. This was so cute and so funny. I can't say a lot because it is book number 2 in the series, but I gave this 5 stars. I was either smiling or laughing out loud at this book. So hilarious. 5 stars. The Governess of Highland Hall, Carrie Taransky. This is book number 1 in the Edwardian Brides series. Christian historical fiction. Very interesting about a governess coming into a dysfunctional family and what happens from there. 3 stars. The Lady of Galway Manor by Jennifer Deibel. This is an Irish story in the 1920s in Ireland. Very interesting, very atmospheric. 4 stars. The autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, which is actually considered a classic. It's on the Harvard list and all the different ones for classics. This was, of course, Benjamin Franklin writing down things that happened to him and his experiences, and he was writing it for his son. Very interesting. I had always wanted to read this. I gave it 4 stars. So for the whole entire month of October, we had 4 5-star books. So we've got Seaview Christmas, we've got Fairborn by Julie Klassen also, we've got The Dawn of Emberwild, and we have The Duke's Diary. And of these, oh my goodness, what would I choose? I think I would choose these 2, The Maid of Fairborn Hall by Julie Klassen and The Duke's Diary by Ashton Newbold as the best of the month. In November, I read 11 books, starting with Wager for a Kiss, a Georgian novella for the Heart of the Revolution series. I gave it 3 stars. The Daughter of Highland Hall by Carrie Taransky, book number 2 in the Edwardian Bride series. This is where the governess is there with the dysfunctional family. This is one of the girls in the family. Christian historical, I gave it 3 stars. The Romance of the Forest by Anne Radcliffe, a classic from the 1600s. It was good, a little slow in parts. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars. Romancing Daphne, book number 3 in the Lancaster family series. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. Refuge at Highland Hall by Carrie Taransky, book number 3 in the Edwardian Bride series. This is getting into wartime. This one was quite interesting. 4 stars. Then I read Sense and Suitability by Pepper Basham, her first historical romance, and it was cute. I gave it 3 stars. The Secrets of Ormdale, book number 5, Valley of Dragons by Christina Baehr, the last one in the series. I love this book. It tied it up very well. 5 stars. An Improbable Scheme, book number 1 in the Courting the Unconventional series by Laura Bears. Very, very, very interesting Regency. It was exciting and I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. Beautiful Love by Megan Walker. This is book number 4 in the Forever After series, fairy tale retellings. Really sweet, ugly duckling retelling. 4 stars. Abigail Adams by Woody Holton. This was spilling the tea. pun intended. This was really good if you want to know more than just the letters between John and Abigail. This was Abigail and other members of her family and her friends. There is an audio book. Of course, it is very chunky, but wow, do we get a lot of history, gossip, a lot of opinion, and you just get to see the woman, what she goes through. I gave this 4 stars. The Widow and the Highlander by Martha Keyes. This is book number 1 in the Tales from the Highlands series. Very good. This is Scotland in the 1760s. Gave it 4 stars. Out of all the books in November, Ormdale is a 5-star, and these two are really standouts as well. I may put both of these in the stack, maybe instead of the Ormdale one for November. In December, I read 18 books, starting with Scars of the Revolution, which is Harbor of Spies, book number 3 by Megan Soya. I had an advanced reader copy. I can't say a whole lot. It is book 3, but it is Christian historical fiction, Revolutionary era, and she does the best job of writing these realistic things that are happening in battle in the gentlest possible way in the faith. 5 stars for sure. Next, I had an advanced reader copy of Julie Klassen's latest book, which is Whispers at Painswick Court. Christian historical fiction in the Regency era, has a lot of mystery, and I really like this one. 4 stars. One of Sally Britton's latest, which is called A Bachelor's Lessons in Love, a clean Regency historical fiction. Really liked it. 4 stars. Then I read Jonathan Edwards' The Religious Affections. I have been in my personal curriculum studying the Revolutionary era and decided to go back to the early settlement time of New England especially. This was lengthy, but I was convicted by his words. Puritan preacher. Really enjoyed it. 3 stars. Then I read To My Husband and Other Poems, which are the things that were secretly written by Anne Bradstreet, her poetry during the early settlement, and very interesting to read. 3 stars. Ashbrook Abbey by Heather Chapman. It was a clean Regency. 3 stars. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. This was a reread, and I read it every year now at Christmas time. Then I read The Nutcracker by Susan Jeffers. Susan Jeffers, this is her take on the Nutcracker, but including some of the ballet. Beautiful story, beautiful book. Gave it 4 stars. Then I read A Heart Worth Stealing by Joanna Barker. I could not put this book down. It was so interesting. It's clean Regency era historical fiction, and it has a lot of mystery and very gentle though, and I loved it. 4 stars. Then I read A Stranger at Fellsworth by Sarah E. Ladd, which is book number 3 in the Treasures of Syrie series. So engaging, so good. 4 stars. Christian historical. Then I did a reread of Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, and while I didn't enjoy it as much as I read it the first time, I felt like it was very interesting still, but I gave it 3 stars. Maiden in the Tower by Heidi Kimball, which is Forever After series book number 5. This was so adorable. I loved it so much. It was a retelling of Rapunzel. Squeaky clean. 5 stars. Next was Winter Story, which is a Brambley Hedge book number 4 in the series. So adorable. 4 stars. I added on here my Bible that I spent so much time with this year, and I couldn't not put it on the list because I wanted to put it on December's because I did spend so much time. So of course, all the stars, more than 5. Heaven by Randy Alcorn. I was a little bit hesitant of his research, what he thinks heaven is going to be like, and answering a lot of those questions that we have about logistics and that kind of thing. Just really interesting. I gave it 4 stars. The last book in the Forever After fairy tale retellings, In Pursuit of a Gentleman by Arlene Hawks. I did not enjoy this one as much. I was a little frustrated with things that were happening in the story. So I gave it 3 stars because it is clean historical fiction, and I appreciated that. And it was wintry, so that part was fun. The Spinster's Folly, Courting the Unconventional, book number 2. It was cute. It was fine. A clean historical Regency era. Gave it 3 stars. And then I read the fun book called The Merry Lives of Spinsters, which is the Spinster Gloucester Chronicles, book number 1 by Rebecca Connolly. I did enjoy this book a whole lot. I really got into it, and it would have been more of a 4-star, but I just felt like it was way too long. So I ended up giving it 3 stars. The standouts for December, of course, the Bible would beat everyone, like I said, so that's a given. A Christmas Carol was a reread, so it can't win. So it comes down to Scars of the Revolution and Maiden in the Tower, and I'm going to choose this one as the best for December. Now we've got to narrow this down to the best of 5 books of 2025 out of 137. So I'm going to show you what we're left with. I'm going to move this mat out of the way so I can slide these books a little bit easier. So we have this stack where month by month I have set aside the standouts and the 5 stars. So these are the 2 stacks that we are left with. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go by category. 5 different categories, I think. Christian historical fiction, clean historical fiction, middle grade, classics, and non-fiction. And we'll choose a winner from each of those categories, and that will be our 5. The 2 classics that stand out in my mind the most, that I love the most, were Shakespeare's Hamlet and Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. One thing I forgot is that rereads cannot be in this contest, so that means that I'm going to have to take Northanger Abbey out because it was definitely a reread. So our winner of the classic category is Hamlet. So we'll set this aside for a second. This category, the clean historical, is going to be so hard to choose. Let me talk this out a second. Seeking Persephone was so much fun. I was very surprised by how into this book I was. I read this in a day because I couldn't put it down. I did find the audio for free, and it was so charming and sweet. I loved it. Pretty funny too. Manor for Sale, Baron included, was hilarious. There was one scene in particular that stands out in my mind. Maybe it was a play on the Pride and Prejudice lake scene in the BBC adaptation. If you know, you know.
You not like the ride himself? No, take him back to the stable.
It was so funny in this book. I mean, hilarious. I didn't love the main female character, but the guy made up for it. He was charming and mischievous and hilarious. I love this book. The Lost Memoirs of Jane Austen, just captivating. I could not stop, but it's also a great starter if you've not read Jane Austen books to just get a feel of what she was like. I just loved it. I loved it so much. So fun. The Widow and the Highlander. This was a group read for the fall with my Patreon book club, and so therefore we read it slowly so we could pace together. But I was there in Scotland in the 1760s after the second Jacobite uprising. It was so interesting, and since we read this, I have thought about this so much, and I just got book number 2 in the series so I can read it. I loved this world. Then we've got The Duke's Diary by Ashton Newbold, and this was just so cute. I smiled and laughed throughout the whole thing. So the way this book made me feel was amazing. It made me happy. And then the ending was a lot more. There were some kind of serious, heartwarming things at the end that was so special. I love this book so much. And then we've got The Maiden in the Tower, which is a very super short fairy tale retelling about Rapunzel that was adorable. How am I going to choose? I think because going on how the book made me feel, because it was heartwarming and it was funny, which I love in a clean historical, I'm going to go with The Duke's Diary by Ashton Newbold. So this is the winner of the clean historical category. Let's talk about middle grade. These are the 2 standouts. The Story of King Arthur and His Knights, love it. And Annie Henry, the 4 books in 1 volume. If this is a reread, this can't be in the winning, which is, I'm kind of glad because it would have been hard to choose between these. So Annie Henry wins the middle grade category. Let's talk about nonfiction. The only standout in nonfiction really was this Abigail Adams book that I absolutely loved. So we have a winner for nonfiction. And in fantasy, since my list was very, very small, we ended up with 2 5-star books. We've got book number 2 in the series of Ormdale, and I definitely would pick 3 because it was all about the King Arthur legend, and you can see by the tabs how much I love this book. So definitely the winner for fantasy is Castle of the Winds. Then we are left with Christian historical fiction. This is going to be so hard. Okay, I'm looking though and realizing that this is kind of a good thing as well because it would have been really hard. I adored this book, The Maid of Fairborn Hall by Julie Klassen, but this was a reread technically. Oh, this one is too. More Than Words Can Say is also a reread, so these cannot be in the winner's circle. So that leaves us with the 2 Megan Sawyer books, book 1 and book number 2. Oh goodness, that's so hard to choose from. I'm going to choose book number 2 out of Megan Sawyer's. Then that leaves us with Seaside Homecoming by Julie Klassen and The Girl in the Gatehouse. Oh my goodness, Julie Klassen and Megan Sawyer. I'm going to go with this one, the one I think about the most. The close second would be The Girl in the Gatehouse, just so you know. But our winner, Christian historical fiction, is book number 2 in the Harbor of Spies series. So now let's bring out the winners from the other categories. We've got Hamlet, The Duke's Diary, Annie Henry, Abigail Adams, Castle of the Winds, and Secrets of the Revolution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to narrow this down one more. So I'm going to say we're going to take out, am I going to take out Abigail Adams or Annie Henry? I think I'm going to take out Castle of the Winds. Believe it or not, as much as I love this, fantasy is my least favorite category. So I'm going to take that out. So we're left with Abigail Adams, Annie Henry, Secrets of the Revolution, The Duke's Diary, and Hamlet. Those are the best 5 books of 2025. If you stayed around this long, give me a trophy emoji and let me know that you were here. Thank you so much. Until next time.